Welcome again to Inquiring Minds. If you have questions and you would like to have answered, or you have comments, please call and let me know. That I'm Kathy Blocker, and my phone number is 501-317-7187. That's 317-7187. Today I have a special guest with me. I love having special guests. I'm getting to meet so many wonderful people. But this is Mr. Bill Ford, who is the chief of our fire department here in Benton. Welcome, Mr. Ford. I appreciate you being here today. And he's going to tell us some things about the fire department. Well, first of all, I want to ask, I know you do more than just put out fires. Would you tell us some of the things that the fire department does?
We do a wide assortment of services to the citizens and visitors to Benton. Not only do we put out fires and everything with that, putting the wet stuff on the red stuff, we the majority of our calls are made to our rescue runs, the medical calls for people needing assistance, everything wide ranging from automobile accidents to heart attacks to asthma attacks. The sky's the limit when it comes to things like that. We also do various types of rescues, whether it be during flooding, water rescues, low angle. Somebody gets trapped on the side of a hill or cliff. We're to a certain degree, we're trained to a certain degree to handle some situations like that. If not, there's other resources we can call in to help us on that. Other thing we do is respond to hazardous material spills and leaks to assist in the cleanup effort and so on and so forth. But that's the majority of the things we do. And like I say, the majority of our calls now are rescue medical related runs plus the fire runs.
Okay, let's just get this one out of the way. Do you ever have any calls from little old ladies who say my cat's stuck in a tree?
Oh yes, yes.
I just had to throw that in.
And as humorous as it may be, we get calls on it, but try to educate the public on it. No matter what you see on TV and what happens in real life are two different things. And I hate to be a smart aleck, or not trying to be a smart aleck, but being realistic about it. Our answer to people when they call in a situation like this: how many skeletons do you see in a tree of a cat? So eventually that cat is going to come down. Most of the time you got to remove away from that tree what's making that cat from coming down, whether it be a vicious dog or a person or whatever. Some cats like to climb trees, period. They like to climb trees, and they will come down when they got up there, they can climb down. So we don't go get cats out of trees for various reasons. We don't want to tie a $500,000 piece of apparatus to remove a cat. Not said it's not important. Also, there's it's not a function of the job. So.
Well, one reason I ask that is not just to be silly,
yeah.
but I want people to get a different different view of the fire department. Right. It's a very serious thing, and I'm sure y'all have fun with what you do. I know my son is a firefighter, and I hear stories about that, but I just want people to realize it is a serious thing, being a firefighter, an emergency responder.
Right.
Are firefighters called emergency responders or just firefighters? Or?
We're in the class, firefighters in the class of first responders. First responders takes into the class of people EMTs on the ambulance, firefighters, police officers, even your animal control officers are first responders, because there are emergencies that deal with animals, so they're first responders.
Besides cats and trees.
That's exactly right. So the firefighter is part of the grouping of first responders. You brought up an interesting question or interesting statement about, the job of what we do. Our mission is simple. We respond to emergencies. Now, not all calls that are made through 911 are emergency. What's deemed an emergency to some people, is not really an emergency. You know,
I understand that.
just because it's an inconvenience, that don't make it an emergency.
I understand.
So you got to really be careful on, you know, it's not a fine line, but you know, and the rule of thumb, if you roll your eyes at it, it's usually not an emergency. So it's kind of like, okay, it's an inconvenience.
As an example, of course, a lot of my viewers know I used to drive a truck, and I was going through Indianapolis one day, and I heard on the CB some people talking about some man had been thrown out of the club because he had had a little too much to drink, and he called 911 so that they'd come out and make them let him in the club. People don't call 911 for things like that. That's not an emergency.
Or to help you get dressed. You know, we've encountered where we've had people call just to help them get dressed, or light their hot water heater, or that's a service call. That's not an emergency. That's a service call. And it, you know, yes, we're the type of people that likes to help people, but when you're off messing with something like that, you're taking away from the real potential emergency that may come in. There's other agencies and things that'll take care of services like that, but the fire department is not that agency. That's
not that one.
No.
Are all of your firefighters in Benton certified EMTs?
Yes, ma'am. That's a requirement when you become a firefighter in the city of Benton, civil service position. You've tested and go through the process and come to work. If you're not already certified as a firefighter and an EMT, you will have 1 year from the date of hire to attend Arkansas Fire Training Academy and go through the firefighter 1 and 2 training, which is 9 weeks on the fire side. Plus there's another 5 weeks on EMT. So you are required to be a certified EMT and also a certified class 1 and 2 firefighter under the International Fire Service Accreditation program. Also, we do have some paramedics on the job. It's more extensively trained on emergency medical services. We don't actively, we're not a paramedic service anymore within the fire department, but those gentlemen that work in the department that are certified paramedics have side jobs, whether it be at MEMS in Little Rock or Slinger Hospital Ambulance Service, and that keeps up their certification, but it also helps out the city a bit on their skills.
Well, yes, the more skills they have, the more employable they are.
Right.
So on the medical scale, a paramedic would be more highly educated than an EMT.
Oh yes, ma'am. The EMT is for the most part, it's a pretty extensive program that teaches you basic life support, how to keep somebody breathing, CPR, controlled bleeding, spinal mobilization, any kind of fracture mobilization, recognizing certain signs of certain symptoms and signs of certain illnesses and potential danger of illnesses. Paramedic not only has that, but the education is built upon that to take you further. And it's more invasive. They do more invasive treatments on such things like chest pains.
Mm-hmm.
They're certified to start IVs, certified to dispense certain medications to relieve pain under a physician's standing orders or direct standing orders from the medical director. Everything is pretty well ruled out. They can read EKGs, they can do advanced airway maneuvers, and a few other things. But when it gets right down to it, the 90%, I don't care if it's physicians or whoever, in an emergency medical situation, 90% of everything that's done is basic stuff, your airway, breathing, and circulation. If you don't take care of those 3 things, that person's not going to live to get to the hospital anyway. So you've got to take care of those 3 basic things. ABC, airway, breathing, circulation,
yes.
no matter what.
I've had that in my training.
Yes. Yes. And a lot of people overlook the forest for the trees and
yes.
forget those, those 3 basic things, and that if you don't take care of those 3 simple things, it's going to be bad. So.
Yes. I understand that. What are the other requirements to be a firefighter for the city of Benton?
We're, like I say, we're a civil service department. Minimum age is 21 years old.
Is there a maximum age?
Maximum age on the state of Arkansas in the civil service is 35 years old.
Okay.
You cannot be hired if you're older than 35 years old. Now, there's some amendments to that law when it has to do with that age, the top age, as far as being employed in other departments and so on and so forth. It's kind of convoluted, but there is a way around that if you've been employed in another department.
So for a beginning firefighter, he can't be any older than 35?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Right, 35, 21 to 35.
Okay. And other qualifications?
Other qualifications, no felony arrest convictions, no felony convictions, good moral character. You must pass the civil service written exam and go through a physical agility test. And after a physical agility test, you'll go through a process of interview with members of the department, appointed members of the department. And then you're grouped in a list. And then once that list is grouped, the list is certified by the Benton Civil Service Commission, and that list is passed to the fire chief. And from that list, when there's an opening, the chief picks from that list one out of the top three or two out of the top three, depending on how many openings you got. And he's allowed the latitude to pick one of the top three. So
that's how it works. And I know, like I said, my son's a firefighter, and I used to teach at Alexandria at the Juvenile Detention Center, and sometimes I was an English teacher, but once in a while I would get on the importance of math, reading and math. That's
you haven't
so
corrected
important.
me once. So.
No, I haven't, so you're doing great. You're doing great. But I helped my son study for his some of the tests he took to become a firefighter, and then for promotions and everything. And I do know, because he's a firefighter, that math is involved in being a firefighter.
Oh, yeah.
Would you tell our viewers, if they're thinking about being a firefighter or something, how important it is to know math? Yeah,
it's important to have a well-rounded education or be a well-rounded person, but like you say, math is pretty important too. We use it all the time, figuring calculations on building sites when we're doing pre-plans. When we go out and inspect and do pre-plans on our buildings, we have to know certain calculations of building this size, how much water it would take to extinguish the fire, if it was 25% involved, 50% involved, or 100% involved, calculation on how much pressure to put on lines so nobody gets hurt, how much incoming pressure we have to know how much water we're going to have left over so we can supply more water. So that there's all types of, and it's simple, it's not really complicated, but there are some algebraic equations that goes along with that to use. Also math comes involved in our EMS part of it, the medical side of it, because we've got to figure out, especially on the paramedic side, when you're giving medication, you got to figure out dosage, proper dosage, guessing people's weight so they'll know how much to give, and from pounds to kilograms. So it's not, it's not like it was a long time ago where you just walked in with a strong back and a weak head and you depended on your back. There's a lot of thinking to go along with it too. And in our hazmat side of it, it can get so extensive to where when you're looking at certain products that's being carried up and down the road, there's some chemistry involved in it, because you got to look at that, reading way bills and manifest. You can look at that and read the chemical formula of it and say, well, is that bad or is that not? So when it gets down to
do we use water or do we use foam?
Or do we go get away from here?
Or drop everything and run.
Yeah. So it's education, and we it's got more. And I'll tell you right now, we've got a lot of our kids, or a lot of our younger guys that have came to work for us. We have, we have guys now. Used to the standard, we required a high school education, and now we've got guys coming to work with master's degrees, and we've got ex-bankers, we've got, you know, they're well-educated boys. And I've had a couple that worked on my shift when I was on shift work that left, and now both of them are ER physicians. So they live the streets, and now they've kept one step further. So
that's good. Do you still require a high school diploma? Do you require?
Yes.
Is
GED.
college helpful?
Oh, college helps.
I'm sure it would.
A lot of people say that, you know, college degree is not, you know, they say you don't need it. Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
I mean, I'm the one to tell you right up front. I wished that I could have went in and finished. I didn't finish, and I wished I could. But I'm to the point now, like, I don't have time.
I understand that.
So, you know, I would encourage anybody that it helps. It helps a lot.
It's not, a college degree is not required, but it is helpful.
It helps a lot.
We were talking about 911 a few minutes ago. Tell me about this new Smart 911.
Smart 911 is a program it was introduced to Benton about a year ago. It's been in the country for, I'd say, a couple of years, but it was introduced into this local area about a year ago. And what it is, it's a tool used by 911 to get information, so that information can be given back out only during an emergency, that will help the first responder do his job better. And the way that works, a person signs up with Smart 911 by getting on www.smart911.com and filling out certain information. Now, that information is held private. It's held private, and you can give as much as you want or as little as you want into a data bank. The only times that it can be pulled out of that data bank is if you do it, or if you dial 911, then that information is given back to the operator, and that operator can give it out to the responder then to help them out. Now, there's a lot of people that have said, well, I want my information held private. Well, it's private.
It's private as anything is in this
country. If an operator or anybody else tries to get it, they cannot get into it. It's there. The way it helps us, if you're a person that lives home with a person that's either bedridden or a special needs person, and say they're bedridden and they're on oxygen, and you have a fire, and you call 911, it'll come up on the screen that Miss So-and-so lives alone with her elderly husband or their wife or whatever, and he's on oxygen or she's on oxygen, and you know, it's a situation. So we'll know in advance when we get there that we've got a situation. Or in another case too, if you want to tell them what kind of medication you're on, what kind of medical history you got, that way that the people, the paramedics will know when they pick you up, they've got a good medical history on you. They don't have to guess about anything. You can even tell them where your medications are kept, or as far as police side of it, you can tell them that you've got a vicious dog, you know, a dog that'll bite, that's good for us to know. If you've got oxygen house, that's good for us to know. If you've got a basement, that's real good for
well, I'm sure it would be. I'm sure it would be.
If you're a person that likes to keep a lot of ammunition and black powder or a hunter,
oh, that would be good for you to know.
It'd be real good for us to know that, you know.
Yes, I understand.
Anything. But like I say, it's private. Whatever you want to give to that data bank, you can. And if someday you want to pull it back out, you can pull it back out. So,
I remember a few years ago, one of the Little Rock firefighters was injured. They were fighting a fire. They were inside the house, and a chimney fell on them. Now, this chimney it had been covered the house had been remodeled and the chimney was no longer used and it had just been covered by walls. It would be good to let you know something like that too, would it not?
Oh, it'd be great.
Because had they known, he would have been injured.
Any information, whether it be for fire purposes, as far as their medication, any information that a person even feels like would help us, we will gladly take it. Because, you know, when we respond to an emergency, whether it be the fire department or ambulance or a police officer, when they're responding to the address, they don't wait till they get on the scene to figure out what they're going to do. As soon as they get the call, they're pre-planning on what they're going to do. It's thinking ahead.
Yes.
Because if you don't, you know, you're thinking, well, what time of day is it? What's the traffic pattern?
Yes.
You know, is it rain? I mean, you're going through all this, so all that information and it can change the outcome. Information can change the outcome to make things really great or make things really, really bad. So you know, we live in an information-driven world, and the more information you got, the better you are.
That is true. I understand that. What kind of programs do you have? Public service? Anything you do for the community besides just fight fires and answer these calls?
Each year, we pride ourselves on reaching the school-age children from the grades, all the elementary school age from A.
Stop, drop, and roll.
Everything.
Okay.
Stop, drop, and roll at all. We start out in kindergarten, do programs. We have a smoke house, fire safety house, which we take them through, teach them how to escape fire. We have we go into the schools and teach fire safety in October and also again in April. And that's through all elementary schools plus the Our Lady of Fatima Catholic School. We go in there, we go into even Harrison Creek Elementary, because Harrison Creek Elementary is in the city of Benton. So even though it's a bright school, it's in the city of Benton.
We don't care.
But we don't, we go into all and teach them, and we reach approximately, I think, 1,100 kids a year through this. Not only do we go into the schools each year when there's old-fashioned day, we set up and do programs for old-fashioned day. We also, if a community group invites us in to do an adult fire safety program, we'll be glad to walk in and do that. We have people that's trained CPR instructors, CPR classes. We have people that's trained EMT instructors. As far as basic first aid, we can teach basic first aid. It's a lot of things, and I'm probably missing something. There's a lot of things that we do as far as community education, community service. We don't think about it being community service, community education, but it actually, anytime we go out and make a contact when we're in the store buying groceries, if somebody comes up and asks you a question, indirectly that's a community service because we have to unlock our car doors.
But don't call 911 to get your car door unlocked.
But anyway, there's a lot of things that we do as far as I'm sure I'm missing some. But our biggest deal is reaching the kids, twice a year, regularly, and every year from the time they're in kindergarten to they're in 6th grade, they're going to know the fire department.
They're going to know.
They're going to know.
I remember that.
Or 5th grade, kindergarten through 5th grade.
Through 5th grade.
5th grade.
And you talk about building inspections. I know it hasn't been but a few weeks since someone from the Benton Fire Department came around to the church and checked all of our fire extinguishers.
Right.
And one of our extinguishers, no, not this time, but before, previously, was low. And I got an education on fire extinguishers that day. So, and I mean, it was nice. He wasn't fussing at me or anything, but because I am a church secretary. But there's just a lot of things that the Benton firefighters do that we don't think about.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to ask this: how do you work? I mean, what kind of hours, days? How does that go?
Right now, on the men on shift work, we have 17 men on 3 different shifts, A, B, and C shifts. Each shift works 24 hours a day. So they'll work 24 hours on duty, then they're off 48 hours. So it's every third day they're at work. They get to spend 2 days home with their wives and family, but the third day they're at home, or they're at their second home with the men. The administration, there's only 3 of us right now in the administration. We work 40 hours a week, straight days, and that consists of myself, the fire marshal, and secretary at the time. Right now, the assistant chief position is vacant, and when that position is filled, he'll also work 40 hours a week.
Well, are you looking for someone to fill that position from within the department, or?
Yes, ma'am.
Or out?
Yes, ma'am. We'll be given a assistant chief civil service test shortly, in fact this month, and hope to have it filled by sometime in September.
I understand that. You don't just get a promotion. No. You have to take a test and pass it before you, for that position, before you can be promoted.
Ideally, you should work through the ranks. Ideally, that's the best way to come up within the department is going through the ranks and to set that goal high and move up. And ideally, that's what should happen.
It's better that way, the way I see it, because you get to learn all of the different, the duties of the different departments and different things to do and everything. If there was just one thing that you could say to our viewers as the chief of our fire department, what would you say to them?
Just one thing?
Just one. What would be the most important thing you would say to them?
Be safe.
Be safe. Be safe. Okay, number 2. What next? Be safe. I understand that.
What would I say? If you have any questions at all about the Benton Fire Department, feel free to contact us anytime or stop by. Stop by. I mean, we welcome people to bring in their kids. We welcome you to come in and just look around. It's your department. It's not ours. So we welcome you to come in and look around, bring your kids, and just don't feel like that's an off-limit place. Come on in and just visit.
Bring some homemade cookies while you're at it.
That'll work. We don't charge admission, but cookies are accepted.
I know that the fire department, the police department, all of our emergency responders, or first responders, every one of them does a great service for our people, not just in the city, but in the county, in the state, all around. And I shudder to think where we would be without all of you.
Yeah. And what a lot of people got to realize, we're human beings too. We're with our faults, and when one fails, don't let it reflect on everybody. So just understand we're human, and we're
human.
We're human.
I'm glad you said that.
So just hold us, right? Just understand that.
Just understand we are human, and we can do just so much.
That's exactly right.
You did say something a while ago about figuring out, looking at a building and figuring out how much water it's going to take, if it's 25% or 50%. Would you explain to our viewers what you mean by if the building is 25% or 50% or 75% or 100%?
If you pull up onto a structure fire and you see a structure burning, when I say the percentage-wise, that means how much is involved in fire. If half of it's involved in fire, sure, that's 50% involved. So that falls into our calculation, and where it's burning, if it's in the attic or down low or whatever. So we try to use that quick formula to kind of figure out what we're going to do, and also how we're going to attack it. If it's 50% involved, we try to go in and stop it. If it's 50% involved or less, we'll go inside and try to stop it. When it starts jumping up to 75% involved, you be real cautious, because it's just a building. You don't want to get nobody hurt, in the main, for that right there, in case there's somebody, trapped. But you got to take care of your people too. So,
that's so very true. I understand that.
You don't. It's still material objects. So it's a risk-benefit ratio. You look at it, you know, does the risk outweigh the benefits, or the benefits outweigh the risk? So, and that's on every chief officer's mind when he pulls up to figure out what he's going to do. You know, the risk-benefit. What's it going to be a toll on me or my guys, though, because they're, you know, you got to take care of them first. So.
I understand that. Okay, if I wake up at 2:30 in the morning and smell smoke, what do I do? What is the first thing I do?
Get your cell phone and go outside, leave, and call 911.
Okay, I don't try to find where it's coming from, maybe put out a little fire or something.
Well, I'm going to leave that as a, that's a subjective,
that's a
judgment call. That's a judgment call. You know, some people get they watch too much, they take what's on TV, you know. You see a lot of stuff on TV, you'll see a big blaze of fire, and for some miraculous reason you can see real well.
Yes.
That's not true. And,
no, it's not.
The fact of the matter is, you know, it's a judgment call. I couldn't tell anybody what they can or cannot do. Ideally, you need to get out, call 911.
Grab that cell phone.
That's
a good reason to keep your cell phone handy.
Yes.
Well, Mr. Ford, it's been a pleasure having you here with us, and I know that I could sit here and ask questions for another 30 minutes or so, but I don't want our viewers to get bored, so we try to limit this show to approximately 30 minutes, but I do appreciate your coming and
welcome anybody to come to Benton Fire Department anytime.
And if you have questions about the fire department, like you said, stop by and visit, give them a call, or call me and I'll pass the information along, or I'll give you their number and you can call them. Don't call 911 though, unless it is an emergency.
You can go to the Benton website, www.bentonar.org. Follow the link to the fire department or public safety of the fire department, and there's a lot of useful information on that.
And it's www.smart911.com to fill in your information, and it is kept private. Well, again, I thank you so much for being here to join with us in this conversation. I hope you've learned something. I hope it's been informative, and I just want you to know that I'm here to help you to find out what all is available in our county, in our city, in our state,